In late January, high in Montana's Absaroka Range, field biologist Dana Whitfield walked into Salmon Valley to check on a wolf pack she had radio tracked for 6 years and found their den empty and a freshly killed elk lying in undisturbed snow that no wolf had ever touched. She had snowshoed in the same way for 6 winters, crossed the frozen creek, climbed the slope, followed the telemetry toward the central den. The Salmon Creek pack always left sign, packed trails, scat, the churned snow of animals coming and going. This time, there was nothing. The mouth of the den sat dark and open. No fresh tracks led out of it. No tracks led in. Then she found the bull, an elk, days dead, lying in a smooth white field of snow that had not been broken. No feeding, no scavenging. The wolves had killed it and simply walked away from it. Hold that image. A fresh kill, and not a single wolf willing to eat it. That is the part that stops a biologist cold. A wolf does not leave meat. A wolf works too hard for a kill to abandon it whole in the open. Over the next week, Whitfield confirmed the rest. The collars had gone quiet, all of them. 11 collared wolves, an entire pack, gone from a valley the Salmon Creek pack had held for at least 3 generations. A place that should have been alive with sound was silent under the pines. To feel how wrong that is, you have to understand what a wolf actually is. Wolves are territorial to the bone. Territory is not a preference for them. It is survival. It is the ground that feeds them, the range they patrol every day, the thing they will fight and die to hold. And a defended kill is the entire point of the hunt. The chase, the risk, the injuries, all of it is for the meat at the end. So, a pack does not casually abandon its own ground, and it does not, under normal conditions, leave a fresh elk to freeze in the snow. When wolves do walk away from food, biologists know it means one of only a few things. Disease tearing through the pack, starvation past the point of function, or a threat so serious they will not stay in the same valley as it. Ask yourself what it takes to move an animal off its own food. Keep that number in mind, 11, which sharpens the first question into something uncomfortable. What threat makes an apex predator refuse its own food? The untouched bull was not the only one. Over the next days, Whitfield walked 3 miles of that valley and counted 4 more fresh kills. Every one of them abandoned, every one of them left to the cold, and not one predator anywhere in sight. 4 more fresh kills across 3 miles, all abandoned, all left to the cold. That is what Whitfield was staring at, and it forced her to test every ordinary answer for why a pack would walk away from 5 meals at once. So she started with the obvious one: people, hunting pressure, poison, poaching. That is the answer that fits almost every wolf that vanishes. And it should have fit here too. She pulled the season's harvest records for the unit. Nothing. No legal take in that unit that winter. Not one wolf logged, not one permit filled. Then she walked the kills again, looking for the human signature. There wasn't one. No carcass with a gunshot wound. No bait piles. No snare sign. No cut wire. No boot tracks circling in from a road. And here is the part that stopped her cold. The 11 collars did not scatter. When a pack is pushed out by people, the signal tells a story. The animals bolt. They run for the edges, toward the valleys, toward the roads, spreading out in a panic. These collars did none of that. They just stopped moving. 11 of them, quiet, more or less where they had always been. If people had driven them out, the collars would have run for the roads. They didn't. Sit with that. Next, she went after disease, because sickness can empty a den without a single human nearby. Mange strips a wolf's coat until the cold does the rest. Canine distemper can tear through a pack in weeks. Both were on the table. Both came off it. The last health checks on the Salmon Creek animals had come back clean. No mange, no distemper, no sign of a wasting animal anywhere in the notes. These were healthy wolves that walked away from meat. That is when she brought in Raymond Kessler. Kessler is a second biologist, and he sat down with the camera trap footage, the grainy black and white frames the valley floor cameras had been quietly logging all season. He watched the whole record, and in the final 2 weeks before the pack disappeared, he found something that didn't sit right. The wolves stopped showing up on the valley floor cameras, not gradually. They simply weren't there anymore. Instead, they were gathering on the high ridges, above the den, above the kills, clustered together on the wind-scoured crest, and every one of them was facing the same way, downslope, toward the valley, as if they were watching something below. Look at where they went. Not away in every direction. Up, together, all facing the same way. Whitfield went back to the ground the wolves had watched, and near the abandoned den, pressed into the January snow, she photographed a trackway that matched nothing in her reference keys. Too broad for a wolf, wrong gait for a lion, wrong stride for a bear that should be denned for winter anyway. She knelt beside it with a ruler and a camera, working fast, because the sun had already started to eat the edges. The print was broad, too broad. She laid it against every reference key she carried, and none of them fit. Not the wolf, not the lion, not the bear. And here is the hard part. The prints were partly melted out. There was no clean edge to cast, no firm wall to hold plaster. No cast survives that kind of thaw. So, what Whitfield walked away with was a set of photographs and a page of notebook sketches that don't line up with anything on the printed pages beside them. That is the whole physical record. That is all there is. So, strip it down. It wasn't humans. The harvest records are clean, no gunshot wounds, no bait, no snares. The collars never ran for the roads. It wasn't disease. The last health checks came back fine. It wasn't a rival pack. No new tracks moved in to take the ground. Something walked through that valley and stayed long enough to lift 11 wolves off their own fresh kills. Something they would not eat beside. This is where Raymond Kessler stops being careful. He won't dismiss it. He lays out the possibilities that are actually real. A large cat far outside its confirmed range. An unusually bold grizzly, awake in a warm winter window when it should be denned. Or a predator interaction we simply don't document, because it happened in a place where no one was watching. And none of that is a stretch. Range shifts are real. Every single year, confirmed carnivores turn up hundreds of miles from where the maps say they belong. The uncertainty here is not invented. It is genuine. The gap in the story is a real gap. Serious biologists are not laughing at this. Ask yourself why. So, let's be honest about what we actually have. The pack is gone. 11 collars fell silent in a single season. The kills went uneaten. A bull elk left whole in undisturbed snow, then 4 more across 3 miles. And the answer everyone reaches for first, that people drove them out, does not fit the record. That much is confirmed. What's still open is everything that matters. We don't know what made the tracks. We don't know what the wolves were staring at from that high ridge, clustered together, facing downslope, watching something on the valley floor. And the valley is still empty. No pack has moved back into ground that fed 3 generations. Whatever it was, it did not chase them. It only had to be there. So, the question that stays, the one you carry out of that snow, is simple. Did the wolves flee a threat, or did they recognize something older than fear? Because somewhere, right now, another set of tracks is melting out before anyone can name it.